Report story. Bakugo threw a backpack over to Izuku. There's hiking gear in there. It's mine so it might be a bit big, but wear that. Bakugo said, turning once again to start walking through the forest. Izuku shook his head and looked down at the backpack. Bakugo wanted him to hike with. Izuku changed quickly into plaid button-up shirt, a no-sleeve jacket, thick pants and some boots. He quickly shoved his normal wear into the backpack and jogged to catch up with his childhood associate. Ka-chan, why are we hiking? I know you like to hike but why take me with you? You've never wanted me to come with you on these sort of. Can you shut your mouth for one goddamn second, you stupid fucking nerd? Bakugo said, not turning around, climbing over some tree roots. And no using your quirk by the way. Izuku, who was now attempting to climb over the same large tree root, was as confused as ever. What was Bakugo trying to do? Was he trying to bond? Was there a reason they were out here? As many questions as Izuku had, who was now climbing down the other side of the gigantic tree branch, this was nice. The sky was a bright shade of blue, the clouds seemed unnaturally soft and puffy. The wind gently blew through the trees, orange leaves scattered across the green grass. Bushes and trees of all sizes stood, pines trees a deep green, oak trees still covered with different color leaves. While large trees overran most of the forest, as Izuku looked around he noticed even smaller trees, some comparable to twigs as he walked by. The sunlight shone brilliantly through the trees in any opening of forest, the rays beaming beautifully through the forest. As Izuku followed Bakugo, ducking under a tree branch and pushing vines aside, nature reacted to his touches. Squirrels, birds, and other creatures he couldn't see, would move or react, flying away or jumping through branches. This is the kind of place Bakugo liked to be in. It was so peaceful while Bakugo was so loud. Bakugo had suddenly stopped his trek, squatting behind a bush. Izuku, not knowing why Bakugo had stopped, followed suit. Izuku looked from behind the bush slowly, and looked. A deer, quietly grazing, was a slight distance away. Its fair coat tan with lighter tan spots detailing its body. Bakugo silently, without effort, sat on the ground and took out a sketch pad. Izuku, silent, blinked a few times. When did Bakugo draw? So. Bakugo said, extremely quiet, almost a whisper. Izuku barely heard him over the sound of a woodpecker somewhere in the forest. You gonna explain to me what happened that day? Izuku raised an eyebrow, confused. That day? Ka-chan, what are you talking about? That day? Izuku asked, trying his hardest to sit down silently and mimic Bakugo's effortless whisper. However, a few twigs creaked. A temple appeared on Bakugo's forehead slightly, as he looked up at the deer. The deer had reacted, perking its ears up and was looking around, however the deer went back to silently grazing. The temple on Bakugo's head disappeared. The day that dumbass lighter guy attacked. You came in and cleaned up last second, however you were different. First off I thought you couldn't access one for all. Second of all I thought when you used it, it would be green. And third, that was definitely more controlled and more powerful than what you've done previously. Bakugo looked up from his drawing to inspect the deer, who had walked a few paces towards them unknowingly and started grazing again. Izuku also turned his attention to the deer. So this is what Bakugo brought him out here for. Bakugo was trying to stay calm to ensure he got the whole story. Bakugo, as much as he didn't seem like it, was a great planner and strategist. He was doing what he could to try and understand the situation best. Promoted stories. You'll also like Falling 71.6K 1.3 Kever. Since Izuku Midoriya joined UA High School and settled in, he knew that the League of Villains were after him and his quirk, one for all. However, when the time see the paths he chooses Book 1, A Fate of You, S. A normal day for Izuku as he completes his normal routine and goes to school. Along the way he runs into Yui Kodai, a quiet and mysterious girl of Class 1B, they I Hate and Love You. 259K 4.6 Con. IzuOcha fanfiction where Deku and Uraraka had a fight in kindergarten which led to something worse. But maybe they can be friends or perhaps more. Non-Quirko rated. Dreamscape 364K 10.3 KYN. Has been trapped for most of her life, used as a tool for others' gain. Her quirk was fabricated to be used as the perfect weapon, a weapon to help in stealing other. Dream on B. K. Downwards arrow tip rightwards in which a jealous bachelor signs a deal with the devil in order to win over the heart of his first love. Katsuki Bakugo has loved the PR. There's something up with Izuku Midoriya. Midoriya had watched his mentor fight for his life and end up using the last of his power. Now being the sole wielder of to work. The quirkless lie and unseen power. S1N. Kurayami has always lived in the shadows, pretending to be quirkless in a world that reveres power. Her secret isn't weakness, it's Mindweb, a terrifying ability. I couldn't use my quirk. Not for over a month. Izuku started, taking out his phone, putting it on silent mode. When Lighter attacked, One for All refused to help until the last second. Refused. Bakugo asked, now finished with the body of the deer. Izuku nodded. One for All has a mind of its own in a way. Or multiple. It's still a bit hard to understand. The drug disconnected my artificial receptors. But One for All could have repaired them at any time. Nana Shimura explained that I was using One for All ineffectively. Instead of allowing the energy to flow through me, I've been just forcing it out. Isn't that why you've been using it in smaller amounts? Bakugo asked. Izuku nodded. Apparently, even though I'm using a smaller amount, I'm still allowing it to force through my bones and muscles, not flow around them. So, what I'm hearing is, you're failing. Bakugo said calmly. Izuku, now silently taking pictures of the deer with his phone to show Ochako, was now looking at Bakugo, still aiming his phone at the deer. Failing. You have had this quirk for months now, and you haven't found a flow to using it. I thought you were supposed to be a nerd, damn it. Abusing All Might's quirk like that. Bakugo said, now sketching out the fur on the deer. I'm trying my best here, Ka-chan. I'm sorry I wasn't born with an amazing quirk like you were. And you think I don't have any problems controlling it. Bakugo said in his low whisper, though the temple on his forehead appeared again. It's a goddamn explosion. I couldn't do anything in that fight against that emo fucker and Lighter. I was useless. Again. Bakugo said. Izuku sighed and went back to taking pictures. Of course Bakugo was feeling upset about that. At least he wasn't trying to punch Izuku this time. So why did it come back? And why was it pink? Bakugo asked. I basically almost died and One for All took over last second. One of the previous users took over, Nana Shimura. She basically cleaned everything up. Izuku said, now just watching the deer graze. A second deer had appeared from a bush now, grazing along with its partner. So you haven't been holding back on me this whole time. Good. I would have killed you if you had been. Bakugo said, detailing the fur of the first deer, but not before giving a quick rough outline of the second deer. So what's your plan now? Bakugo asked. Izuku stayed quiet. My quirk is back, and I can use it a lot easier, probably due to Shimura's influence. But not only do I need to strengthen my connection to One for All, learn the quirks and figure out what mission Aizawa has for us. But now I need to figure out how to make the kinetic energy flow through me naturally instead of just forcing it out. Izuku leaned up against a tree and looked up at the overhead orange trees and sunrays. When said out loud like that, it really put into perspective all that he had to accomplish in such a short amount of time. It was so much, and without any guidance either. All Might was the best guidance he had, but All Might naturally handled One for All the moment he acquired it. Izuku remembered all the videos, fights, everything All Might he had seen of All Might using his quirk. The only way Izuku could describe it was effortless. Even when All Might was injured, it was never using the quirk that was the problem, it was dealing with the injury. Heck, even when he didn't have it and was only using the remains, All Might was so proficient he could use those flames to their maximum capacity. How could Izuku match that, much less excel at? One for All is a stockpiling quirk that grows stronger each user. One for All should be even stronger than when All Might used it, not taking into account the other quirks that were locked up inside of it. He hadn't even attempted Black Whip again since Ochako stopped him in the training hall that day. Even with the supercharged and more powerful quirk than All Might. Izuku wasn't even close to even being near All Might's level. You had better be glad your mumbling is so quiet, you fucking nerd. Bakugo said, now sketching the second deer's fur. I'm going to surpass All Might and be the number one hero. Even without One for All. Izuku stared at Bakugo. Bakugo was going to surpass All Might his own way. By his own means. Izuku smiled. Bakugo never failed to encourage him in some way, shape, or form. Izuku will find a way to surpass All Might, even if it's not the way All Might did. There was still a lot on his mind. But that was a lesson Izuku had forgotten. Do things his way, not All Might's way. Thank you, Ka-chan. I didn't do shit for you. Take that shit up with your girlfriend, not me, nerd. Right, I'll do just the, Ka-chan. What is that? What's what? I swear if you run my fucking deer away. No, Ka-chan, seriously, what is that? Don't you see I'm fucking drawing? What are you looking at? Bakugo turned around to see what Izuku was pissing him off about when he saw it a cloudy light, tiny balls of even brighter light, was behind them, creating a trail of sorts for them to follow. The deer had scattered as the two of them stood. They looked at each other, before slowly following the trail. The trail was disappearing as they walked along. Down the mountain the two students descended. However, the trail started disappearing faster and faster. Izuku and Bakugo turned from a walk, to a jog, to now sprinting down the mountain, parkouring their way through the trees, jumping, sliding, weaving as fast as they could, trying not to lose balance on the steep incline. Wait! Izuku cried out to the light trail. Izuku looked ahead, noticing the trail went on for some time. It led to a destination. This was important. He could feel it. His answers lay with this trail. They had to. You won't get away from me, a damned light. Bakugo yelled, jumping high over a tree branch and sliding his way down an incline of dirt. Izuku tripped and rolled his way down the hill before somehow regaining his footing mid-roll and followed Bakugo and the light down the mountain. The two followed the light trail down the mountain before reaching a low flat ground area, still covered in trees and nature, though there was a clearing in the center with something sitting there. Ka-chan, don't ask me what this is, you nerd. I don't fucking know. Ochako looked up suddenly from her textbook, Eri sitting in her lap playing on a tablet she had found in her room. She could have sworn she had saw something, a dim light in the room. Eri, did you happen to see anything? Ochako asked, still looking around the room. What? Eri asked back. Ochako looked down to see the little girl had earphones in. Ochako shook her head and took one last glance around the room. Was it just her imagination? Where stories live. Discover now.